Andy, I always say, like, always start with you. I don't think any does people know it's Dave on the other end?
I don't know if I say your name. Do you need me to say your name more often,
I
Dave? Do you like me to add like Dave to the end of every sentence I have, just to sort of, do you like hearing it? I can do that.
yeah, I'm not sure. It's like so Andy Jabor and Dave Pounder, but I would guess if you're listening to us, you probably know us, I guess, but that makes sense, maybe. I don't know. Okay, Andy, how was your uh, how was your like first no football week in like 4 months?
It was good, Dave. I had a lot of stuff I had to do this weekend, so I was able to get some things done. It was really beautiful here this weekend. It was like 50 and sunny both days. So I worked out in the garage, the doors open. Saturday, I went for a nice long run yesterday. So that's one thing I really enjoy out of football season is that you get those couple few hours back, and you can do some things you don't normally do when you're sitting in front of the couch yelling at the TV screen. So I actually enjoyed my weekend. It was good. How about you? How was your weekend, David?
Yeah, it was fine. It's just I am in really this limbo time because like, Sunday, so like college lacrosse started back up again, and I really enjoy college lacrosse, um but I didn't get to watch any games this week. Just it just didn't work out. But
Yeah.
like, there's just not really. Aside from that, I'm not like I don't watch basketball until like the end, like to the playoff times. Professional basketball,
Yeah.
college basketball, I watch occasionally, but I won't watch it really until March Madness. And I because I used to watch it all the time. I would like Duke and UNC was this weekend, and I didn't even know, and two, I didn't even care.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been like it was I don't know, it was just kind of blah. So
Yeah.
I mean it was a good family weekend, but like from a sports standpoint, until baseball gets going, there's not much for me to really care about.
Yeah. I mean, outside of the NFL, normally I don't watch really sports on TV. I'll go see live games. Like if the chance comes up for us to go see, PLL, or I'll go see a hockey game, or I'll go see a baseball game. Even though I pay zero attention to the sport. Like, and we've got a local minor league baseball team that's pretty fun to watch, the Frederick Key. So like, I love live sports, and I don't even care what sport it is. We used to go to live MLS games, but to sit and watch it, like I just can't do it unless it's the NFL. I might try some UFL games. And once I see like how that
Oh
schedule
yeah.
looks like, I might try some of that this year. But otherwise, Dave, it's once the NFL is done, I don't watch a lot of sports. But hey, there's a season for everything, right?
Yeah, speaking of the UFL, I might watch some of that. There's the PLL is going to do their championship series, which is a 6-on-6
Yeah.
indoor version of their. That was pretty fun last year. It was pretty up and down. I think that starts in 2 weeks, so maybe I'll catch a little of that. Speaking of the UFL and The Rock I think is back in wrestling now for a little bit. I think he was on the board of directors for TKO, which is who just recently bought out WWE, and he's on the board of directors there now. And he's been spotting up on wrestling programming over the last 6 months or so, every so often. And I think he's going to be taking on Roman Reigns here, Andy, at WrestleMania in Philadelphia. It'll be kind of exciting. So interesting to see The Rock in his age to get back on the. He looks good though.
He looks great. He's still a young man, Dave. Anybody younger than us is still a very young man, right? So
True.
and I think much like a lot of the wrestlers now, whether even if you look at the guys as old as Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, they never really seem to retire. I mean, it's like they
Yeah.
all want to jump back in. John Cena, right? Dip back into the WWE universe, and then go back out and do other things. And I think it's kind of fun. It's fun to see that. Dave, more importantly than The Rock making his return to the ring, I'm very proud and honored of my youngest cousin, Serena Deeb, who is back in the ring. She's an AEW professional wrestler. She has been a women's champion, and after a 2-year hiatus, she returned to the ring and is kicking ass in the women's division. So hey, I love The Rock, but my cousin is surely much better and could surely kick The Rock's ass in a 1v1 matchup. So Serena, we're very proud of you. Excited to see you back. We can definitely smell what Serena Deeb is cooking. You know what I'm saying, Dave Pounder?
Yeah, as my daughter likes to say, my daughter likes to say, can you smell what daddy is burning in the kitchen? So it's all fun. All right, Andy. So let's transition to a couple of things here. Andy, we didn't mention on the sporting events here was the Pro Bowl, the AFC NFC Pro Bowl. So there was football this weekend.
It
It just
was football this weekend.
I would put that in air quotes because it wasn't very good. Where do you stand on let's two-part question.
All right.
Where do you stand on the Pro Bowl and their activities? First, where do you stand on that?
I so this can go into a whole long speech here, Dave. I think I do not care whatsoever personally for their activities. To me, it's awesome to see guys recognized and make the Pro Bowl selection, make that list of players who performed great the year before. But to actually watch it, I could not care less about a skills competition. I mean, it's great for them. I commend that they should go and do it. I just can't be bothered to care about it.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. I never like of all the All-Star games, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Of all the All-Star games, I never cared to watch the Pro Bowl.
It's
Like
silly.
like
Terrible
we,
football.
it used to be after the Super Bowl, the week after the Super Bowl. But then it became the fill in the week between the Super Bowl. Then they had all these gimmicks along with it. And now it's a flag football game and skills competitions. I generally like the skills competitions, but I'm just never going to watch them. Like I don't care to see quarterbacks trying to hit targets. That's just not I have better use of time. And then the flag football game, what I don't understand about it is you we don't want people to get hurt. And flag you can still tear an ACL
Oh yeah.
playing flag football. It's not without conflict. So I like they just seem like it's a big money grab to keep doing these type of things. They moved it to Hawaii for one. They was in Hawaii for all those years. Then they moved it to LA and now it's in Orlando. It seems very unusual. Um, you should probably just get rid of it. I would think, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, my youngest son attends, school in Orlando. They hosted the Pro Bowl games this year. He couldn't be bothered to go, and he loves football as much as we do. He just doesn't care. I don't think anybody cares. The Pro Bowl, and this maybe leads into all-star sports to me. It's like being your kids' awards assembly, right? Like awards recognitions are great for the people that are involved, but outside of that, except for those that like care about the Grammys and the Emmys and all of that garbage, which I equally care less about. I could not care less about any of those events. Like unless you're being recognized, nobody cares, right?
Yeah.
When young Dave Pounder got his third grade citizenship award, hey, I'm sure you were very happy with it, but none of the kids in the audience cared about your award or recognition. You know what I mean? It's just nobody gives an ass about it. And so same thing with the Pro Bowl. Like, hey, it's great for those guys, recognize them, celebrate what they did, but honestly like nobody cares. I feel the same way about all the like again, like hey for music performances, for acting, like hey, let them celebrate each other, have a great night partying and enjoying it. I don't care who the male actor of the year is. Like what how does that impact me in any way whatsoever? It's just recognition. Great for those involved. I love seeing Detroit Lions be selected. I cast my vote for them, cheer them on. I think it's awesome, but I don't actually care about their ceremony, their games, their Pro Bowl or whatever else they want to do.
Well, there's two things to it. Yeah, I don't, I'm along with you. I guess there's two things that I think that used to make these things popular was one, the opportunity to see all of these collection of talent together on a field didn't happen very often. And then the other part is you didn't have so like all the media there is now. Like you can follow your favorite players all over the place. You can see them doing these crazy, insane catches, during their practice drills or whatever. I just think there's just not like there's no incentive. Like what does the Pro Bowl actually do for anybody? And in fact, the aggravating thing is it's not the all pro team. It's who it's the Pro Bowl of who voted in, not the all pro team. And look, I think a couple years ago, the AFC was so short on quarterbacks that Huntley, the backup quarterback for the Ravens, who played I think 3 or 4 games, was the Pro Bowl quarterback for the AFC. Like, wait, how, that just the line just kept getting lower and lower. But okay, so let's go to other type of All-Star games, Andy. So baseball and basketball and hockey. Hockey also had their All-Star weekend this weekend. Um, they do theirs mid-year. And so in the middle of the year, they take a 4 to 5 days off. It's getting longer in some sports. They take some time off. They go to a city, they do a skills competition, and then they play a game. But the games are different. The NBA is a colossal joke. It's just this highlight reels. They play no defense. They tried to make it where the game matters, and if you get home field advantage or whatnot in the finals would be dependent on who won. Yeah, and they tried to make it about the win, the first 3 quarters, the scores, then in the fourth quarter, you have to make up that final score. It's some weird concoction. But they have obviously the slam dunk contest, the 3-point contest. They have a couple other fan favorite or like celebrity games and all this other stuff. That's basketball. Hockey has it where they do a skills competition, then they have an all-star game of, I think it's East versus no, their all-star games are they break it down into 4 like teams, and they do like a little round robin tournament, shorter games, but then they do that. And then baseball is the classic baseball one, where they do the home run derby, a couple other little events, but none of those games mean anything. They're just trying to get gimmicks out of all of them. Do you watch any of those, Andy?
I don't watch any. I don't. When I was younger, I used to keep up with like. I mean, I'd see the highlights. You know, the 3-point contest and slam dunk contest have their moments of just being cool. But I couldn't bother to watch them live. Like that would just drain my energy. I would not care. And of course, the home run competition. That's maybe the oldest and most famous thing of all of those skills type competitions, and just a huge thing, right? Guys just crushing balls. It's pretty cool, you know. But again, I can't sit there and watch anything. Like I just again, you know, take your citizenship award and go home. Nobody cares. Is my take on all of those things.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I went when I was in at Fort Carson, I went to the home run derby in Denver, and it was fun. It was big. Mark McGuire was big at the time. Sammy Sosa was big at the time. McGuire hit some long bombs, but ultimately he didn't win anything. It was just a long night. And then you had so that was fun. I used to really enjoy the baseball one
Yeah,
because the National League never played the American League. So the only time if you were in an American League city like Baltimore for us, you would never see somebody from the National League play. Well, now they've got interleague play, and it kind of takes away from seeing your favorite. If you want to see the Dodgers, or if you want to see the Phillies or whatever, you want to see those big superstar players on those teams. You just wait for them to come to your city now, and you can see them or whatnot. I have a hard time with all of these all-star games because again there's no meaning to it, and the players don't want to get hurt,
yeah.
and they don't really want to show up. I think basketball is the worst of all, and I'm really not sure why they continue to do it. Why not just give everybody a 3-day off and let them recharge their batteries and do it? Why go through it other than, hey, you got to make a lot of money?
Yeah,
um,
that's what it is. It's a money machine. I mean, it'd be better for the players just to hey, get voted into these things at the end of the season. Whoever performed the best, is voted in or selected in whatever they want to do, and they get a financial boost for it. Have a good day, move on. Like that'd be fine. Just recognize them. But the leagues want to make the most money they can out of the event, and that's their business. Obviously, it's understandable. I just can't be bothered to care. So they that, all star. I think we're giving them a failing grade, and I think that's fair.
Okay. All right. So let's just wrap up that conversation. You clearly don't want to talk any more about it, Andy. So, all right. All right, Andy, let's talk as you transitioned us to like meals and dinners and such. Interesting article. First of all, I'll say this. I think last year there was a craze around um, uh, girl dinners, right? And so it'd be like, hey, I'm just gonna have I'm just gonna have a girl dinner today. I'm just gonna grab a lot of snacks or a lot of like not a meal, not a full meal, but I'll take a little snacks of this, and this, and I'll just have I'll graze on those type of things. That'll be dinner for today. Well, I guess the new craze, Andy, or one of the new crazes, and again, it wouldn't surprise you to say it started on TikTok, was the dutiful spouse at home preparing the meal, slaving over, making sure you have the veggies, a starch, and a meat or a protein or whatever, and then you get the call or the text that says, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be home for dinner tonight." And then you push all that aside and you just grab the crap out of the refrigerator and you grab whatever and chicken nuggets and fries, fish sticks or something. And I think the point is, have we put our the and the wife, I don't want to do stereotypes, but typically the wife is preparing the meals. I know that's not always the case, but have we stereotyped females to say you have to slave over this dinner and prepare it for your spouse and have it all ready for them and be a great meal? And have we overthought it, and just can't we just go back to having, shouldn't we normalize those type of meals anyways, like chicken nuggets and fries, just have a meal like that, or a simple, I don't know, have breakfast for dinner or whatever. What do you think when you read that, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting article, and I guess what jumped out at me, to be honest, was like I think my wife and I kind of moved past the formal dinner like years and years ago when our kids were young, and I just kind of assumed a lot of people did. I mean, Dave, you were very active in your kids, sports development and coaching and cheering them on, and we were the same way, right? We spent hours at sports and taekwondo and music lessons. Like there was no time for anybody to sit and cook this robust dinner. That was never like it was just never was the case for us. So we quickly kind of got into the idea of, hey, let's just figure out how to make some of the kids' favorite stuff quickly and a little bit more healthy at home. And that's what we eat. So like we, like homemade pizza, right? Homemade burgers, homemade tacos and quesadillas, things like that that were, fun. The kids liked them. They were quick and easy to make. You could make them healthier than you would if you go and buy them from the restaurant. We that just became like what we did. And then a couple times a week we might make some things a little bit nicer if there was time. But we said zero time to sit there and make the nice chicken and potatoes and veggies. Like we just didn't have time for it. So we quickly just didn't even agree to it. We just sort of moved into that direction and stayed there for years and years. Now their kids are older. We have more time. Now we dabble around a bit more. It's like when if my son's coming home, I have a chance to make him something nice. Like love to do that, right? Really, cooking's fun. It's enjoyable. I still think it's realistic for parents in this day and age, the way we live our crazy ass lives in the United States of America. Like, I think it's an unfair expectation to think that, mom is going to, work just like her husband is, going to come home and run kids around to sports and make sure that there's a nice meal on the table for her husband when he comes home from work. Like, if either spouse is a stay-at-home spouse, changes the dynamic, changes the story. Maybe there's a little bit more time to do that, whether it's the husband or the wife. But in a two working family, it's just a really high expectation that I think is probably not manageable day to day for most people. I don't know, Dave. That was kind of long on my end, but am I off base there?
No, I don't think you are. I think the thing is there's so much. I feel there's a lot of pressure on, and maybe it's through like the social media where you get it like, look at this great meal I made in
Yeah,
5 minutes or whatever, and like there's no way on earth you made
yeah,
that meal in 5 minutes. I think I think what you're speaking to is much how we were too when we had one kid in baseball, one kid in lacrosse, another kid doing dance or whatever. It was hard. Like
yeah,
you were getting in whatever you could. My wife, she does take a lot of pride in like making good meals, and she wants to, and I think she is hung up on, hey, I've got to make sure I'm getting everything in front of it. But that's a lot of stress on her too, because she's had a bad day. If she has a bad day at work, the last thing she wants to do is now spend 45 minutes on things. So, we've gotten to there's a couple great, like you can order dinner type of things where you heat up something in 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes, really good meals, and
yeah.
that's good. That's good. But I do agree. And we even had this discussion this week because she shared it with me in the first place. Like, hey, lose your hang up and let's just like, hey, it's okay to just throw out chicken nuggets or quesadillas or homemade pizza or burgers, and that's good enough. Cut up a couple, like cut up a cucumber and there's your veggie or whatever. But I do think that there's a lot of pressure on people by what they see on social media, which Andy, I don't know if you saw the congressional hearing on social media that will go nowhere, but it was good for PR for a lot of places. But there's a lot of pressure on social media to make sure you're performing at a high level and delivering for your man, Andy. You got to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and that's so much bullshit, really, right? I mean, like really, it's pressure we put on ourselves for no reason. I mean, I have
Right.
fun cooking. I have fun sort of sharing if I'm making something fun. Like, and I take a lot of pride in making my not quite yet famous Lebanese burgers. I enjoy them. I enjoy making them. It's fun to do. But like, I think you just have to like you have to choose what you're going to spend your time on. I think for parents today, you be able to be there for your kids' different activities is so much more valuable than having that. And I think also, you look back, there was a time when we didn't have so many restaurant options on every
Mhm.
corner of every neighborhood, right? And we didn't have DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats and all these options. Like if you want a nice certain type of meal, like maybe however often you and your family decide, you order it, you go out and enjoy it. Like you can get a really good meal and enjoy for what it is. And then when you're at home, you manage your time effectively. I think we put a lot of undue pressure and expectations on ourselves and sometimes our spouses to do certain things that just aren't realistic because you can't do everything, and in a world we're running around as batshit crazy as we do these days. Like it's just, we have to be reasonable. So again, we kind of just fell into that routine early on. Like I think we just, didn't, without talking about it, sort of got into like, hey, we're not going to spend a lot of time on cooking. Like that's not where we have to spend a lot of our time and effort. We're going to eat, and we did cook meals and everything. It's just we chose them to be quick and efficient, so we could be at all those different events that we were running around every night, making sure like you guys have, like a lot of parents in the United States. You've got the sports practice, the music practice, the dance, like you said. It's just a lot. So I think we have to
Yep.
realistically manage our time and our expectations on ourselves and each other. And yeah, I mean, social media is fun and it's interesting, and you can pick up a lot of interesting ideas or recipes or whatever. And then it's also a lot of BS that is unrealistic and not reasonable. And no mom, no dad, you don't have to try and do whatever Stevie B posted on TikTok or Instagram or whatever else it is. That's not any more than you have to keep up with people's lifestyles or fitness expectations or whatever else people are doing in their spare time. There's a lot of nonsense there, and you have to sort of just take it all with a grain of salt and enjoy it for what it is. So yeah, so Dave, come on over. I'll make you some classic
I,
homemade pizza if you want, or
I,
whatever you want.
I want some of that Lebanese burger. That sounds pretty good.
I mean, so good, Dave. So good. So good.
All right. Well, that sounds like, yeah. I'm with you on all that front. I think there's just, and I think what I told my wife is, I was like, hey, look, I've never told you, like, damn it, there better be a starch, there better be a veggie, there better be a full meal when I get home from work. Like I have of low expectations. I remember growing up, my mom would make all sorts of things, but like we did what we did. I think there's so much now that there's these implied pressures that we've built in our own minds. Like I think we need to get out of our own head sometimes and just say, "Hey, look, this is what works for my family." And guess what? Nobody needs to judge me. And if they do try to judge me, fuck them. So it is what it is. So yeah, all good stuff, Andy. So that I thought that was a fun article. So Andy, there's a big week ahead. There's a lot of things going on this week. We continue to march forward to on the politics side, on to South Carolina, where it looks like Nikki Haley's going to continue to stay in through Super Tuesday, or that's the indication that regardless of what happens in South Carolina. I find it comical when all of these people who were great Nikki Haley supporters within the state are now coming out and making accusations about her connections with the Chinese government and all this other stuff when they were so great to be supporters of her before. I find it very interesting. But that's the side. We also have the Super Bowl, Andy. Any thoughts on the Super Bowl before we wrap up here?
Well,
And
Dave, I think my policy. I think I hold a 10-year grudge policy, right, which
that's
is
right.
mine. So even though I actually like the 49ers, I have to cheer against them for the next 10 years or until the Lions beat them in the playoffs next. So I'll be cheering for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are in a good position to get a win there. Although the Niners are a very strong team, so I think it should be a good battle. Could go either way. I'll be watching and enjoying the game, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
How about you, David? Do you have a favorite?
Like I want to pick San Francisco because I'm like the Chiefs can't continue that. Like I don't feel like they're that strong, but do you bet against Mahomes right now? I mean, no, but more importantly, do you bet against Taylor Swift, Andy? That's maybe where we need to go. So I don't know, Andy. All right, so we'll continue that discussion as we go through the week. But Andy, I will talk to you next time.